Andrew, adui mkubwa wa familia hii, anaichukia.
Nini mnapigania?
Shamba. Toka mbele yangu wewe.
Pesa zetu bwana.
Hauogopi Mungu, hauogopi shetani.
Congratulations Dina.
Nyamaza, wanga kusema daktari anadanganya.
Kwa Josh, kilichosalia ni mzigo mkubwa zaidi kielimu kama atafaulu kujiunga na chuo na kimaisha. Je, atatoboa?
Good morning and a warm welcome. This is the great KBC, just in time for KBC News Check. My name is Njue, and actually before I go to the details of News Check this morning, remember Chan bado iko hapa KBC, the Pamoja tournament, despite the fact that Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda are out of the tournament that is scheduled to be ending on 30th of this month. We still have 4 teams that will be playing this afternoon. We have Morocco versus Senegal, and we also have Madagascar versus Sudan. So we will be airing those 2 matches to know exactly which 2 teams will square it out for the biggest prize in Chan. That is the Chan Pamoja Tournament Tour. That was actually, if you remember yesterday, we had the cup right here on KBC. Who will lift that cup? Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania out, but hey, we still have 4 more teams, and our closest neighbor being Sudan. I'm quite sure a number of Kenyans will support Sudan. And can Senegal also retain that cup? That and much more we will know at the end of this Chan tournament. But away from that, News Check is a program that is earmarked to ensure that we keep you afloat with all the latest happening in the country and beyond. And what has been happening in the country, a lot has been happening in the country, but let me just point out a few things that are happening today. We have an official state visit by His Highness Prince Rahim Aga Khan V that will be at State House. We'll be crossing over to State House a little bit later on. The Halal Science and Tech workshop is currently underway at the Jamia Mosque. Farah Yusuf Farah, my colleague, is currently on that bit. We also have the launch of the Africa Champions of Trees Award at the Kenya Forest Service headquarters right here in Karura. And Katiba Day, tomorrow. We are all, as a country, looking forward to that day. The president did issue a statement in regards to that and said that from tomorrow, going forward, we will be always commemorating the Katiba Day, that is on August the 27th. Why is that? It will be 15 years since we promulgated our constitution, and that will form a basis of our discussion this morning. And I would like to weigh in your sentiments as well. We are live on our social media spaces, and of course right here from the broadcasting house in the County of Nairobi. And before I rope in my panelists, allow me to just mention a few things in regards to the 2010 Constitution. Actually, the journey started in 1969 because the 2010 Constitution replaced the 1969 Constitution that had established a unitary state with powerful president and reduced protection for human rights. Then fast forward that to the 1990s when we were repealing the Section 2A. Among the discussion, other than repealing of the Section 2A, which allowed multipartyism in the country, there were also talks in regards to amending the Constitution. And the journey was long and tiresome. 2004, I do remember, I was at the Bomas covering the Bomas draft. If you remember, we had the Bomas draft, but after we had some significant amendments, we had push and pull in 2005 that the revised Bomas draft came up with the Wako draft, if you remember, that was rejected in the 2005 referendum. You remember the orange and the banana? Yes. Then after that, we had the post-election violence. That was 2007, 2008, which resulted in over 1,000 deaths But we did come up with a political agreement and the Africa Union mediation. You do remember the Kofi Annan? That also was another opportunity for the clamor to continue the clamor for a new constitution. The final draft was written by the committee of experts, the likes of Akina Ekuru Okot and others, and was published in 2009 and was subjected to public debate, call it public participation. And after parliamentary approval, it was put to a referendum. I do remember August the 4th in 2010, where it was approved by at least 67% of the voters and was promulgated in August of 27th, 2010. Apologies. Key features. Some of the key, allow me to just mention, because the Constitution is quite comprehensive, allow me just to point out around 4. One of them was the Bill of Rights. We've talked about what we had seen, the violence we had seen, and especially when it comes to political, the 1992 when Kenya was repealing the Section 2A of the Constitution. And the Constitution included a Bill of Rights that recognizes socio-economic rights, that also enshrines rights to education, healthcare, and also housing. Let's go to devolution of power. We have seen the 47 counties, just to mention a few. Separation of power. We have the doctrine of separation of powers that ensures that Parliament is independent, the judiciary is independent, and the executive is independent. Is it truly? Are these three organs truly independent? We will be discussing that with my panelists. Then citizenship reforms. It ended gender discrimination in citizenship, allowing even women to pass citizenship to their children and spouses, and also allowed dual citizenship. We have seen that in action. Land and environment, we know that land matters are quite emotive in this country and this region. It was supposed to address that. Where are we? And then when you talk about integrity and governance, man, that is another can of worms. And I call it a can of worms because the latest statement by the president in regards to the war on grafts just tells us we are way behind in that fight. We'll be talking a lot about that, but enough of that. We have the 2010 Constitution. There have been clamor for some of the amendments. Most of the comprehensive and inclusive constitutions of the world, including one of the United States, the UK, and maybe let's just mention India, they have undergone several amendments. We have never amended our constitution. We remember the NADCO report. It's one of the ways of also amending the constitution when you talk about going back to the citizens to ask them, do you really need this? That is a really big discussion that we'll be having here. Allow me now to rope in my panel of experts, beginning from my immediate left. Two of them are actually just arriving, but allow me to introduce my guest who is already here, Dr. Honorable Senator Gertrude Musuruve. He is a former nominated senator and also a lecturer at one of the universities here in Nairobi. Karibu sana, Gertrude. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much, Njue. Yes. Thank you also for the invitation this morning to come and discuss concerning very pertinent issues in this country. And I want to say that I really appreciate that you can give me a platform as a scholar to come and discuss issues. You can give me a platform as a leader also. You see, once you've been a leader, you are forever a leader. Yes. You cannot wish that away. And especially having represented in Parliament a big section of people, persons with disabilities, you know, it gives me a lot of pleasure to come and talk about Katiba. And Ben, maybe I can just begin by saying I just truly want to thank the President for, you know, declaring, making a proclamation that we'll always talk about issues of Katiba on 27th of August. It is something very important because, Ben, you know, when you talk about Katiba every year, then it will give us a mind to reflect on what exactly are we doing, what have we done as a country, and what have we done, what are the deliverables, which are the gaps that are missing, and how can the gaps be filled so that, you know, when it comes to everyone in Kenya, everyone feels that he or she is represented. Remember, Ben, we are talking of a constitution that is is well-meaning, that really talks about representing everyone in Kenya, and says power belongs to the people in this country, and people can express themselves, you know, individually or through their representation. And I think that is something very good. And also, even when you look at this constitution, Ben, the way it really, you know, talks about no one being left behind, everyone being involved, you know, in issues of decision-making, issues of governance and all that. So when it comes to the constitution itself, the constitution is well-meaning and has very good quotes that can really help this country, so that everyone is economically empowered, everyone is productive. And Ben, I want to say that since the Katiba 2010 constitution was promulgated, I see some gains. I'm just talking of some gains with regard to persons with disabilities. And you see, that is my concern. I have an innate passion on persons with disabilities, because I am also a person with a disability. And Ben, I'm privileged to have lived both lives, because I was not born with a disability. Up to 2013, that is when I got a disability. So I've lived in the two worlds, and I can for sure tell you how it feels like being without a disability and also being with a disability. So I want to say that the constitution is well-meaning, especially when you look at some of the articles, you know?
And before we break it down, having served, actually, you're one of the, if you ask me, you're one of the most hardworking senators back in the day. And I'm saying this without any fear of contradiction, because we've had discussions here while you are a senator, and looking at the 2010 constitution, you're supposed to sort out a lot that we had not really gotten there yet. And one of them is the inclusion of women, whom you also represented, and you are also part of you have an organization at Parliament that also tries to bring women out so that they may grasp and seize these opportunities are there. Another thing, you also represented the interest of persons with disability. I remember us talking about the Disability Act. It was a bill back then, but it was passed, I think, a year ago, almost more than 10 years after we had the Constitution, which speaks a lot. Now, in your view, as a leader, as a scholar, the 2010 Constitution, how progressive could you say it is?
Ben, for sure I can say that, you know, we say things as they are, so that if there are any improvements, they're improved. If there are any gaps there, they're filled. So when it comes to the 2010 Constitution, I can say that from the onset, it was well-meaning, and it is still well-meaning with regard to persons with disabilities. I can talk about many other sectors, education and all that, but I specifically choose to talk about persons with disabilities, because I feel the shoe, you know, I'm the wearer of the shoe. And you see, when you wear the shoe, you know where it pinches, you know, if there are any adjustments to be made on the shoe, it's possible to do that. Now, when it comes to the 2010 Constitution, when you look at Article 97 and 98, persons with disabilities have been given, you know, a strong voice there, where they can be in the Senate to, you know, representation of persons with disabilities, one man, one woman, to represent persons with disabilities. And then the National Assembly also, they are also represented, I think, a man and a woman also to represent persons with disabilities. So that is actually guaranteed in this Constitution, that when we open the Constitution, it is guaranteed. But there's a section of the Constitution that is violated many times by practitioners, by executives, in parastatals, in private organizations, even in government. It is actually violated, because Article 54(2), Ben, if you look at it, you know, in the Constitution, and I'm speaking about Article 54(2), because this is Katiba Day. I know in Katiba Day, we have to reflect and see what have we really done? What are the deliverables? So when you look at Article 54(2), it states clearly that persons with disabilities will be, you know, 5% will be given elective and appointive positions. And this actually is not really being implemented. And I'm happy because the president launched, this Katiba Day. And the Katiba Day speaks on obeying the Constitution, implementing the Constitution, and ensuring that we safeguard, we preserve what is in this Constitution, and even bettering the Constitution. So you'll find that even when it comes to appointed positions, sometimes this constitutional requirement is actually flouted, and it is not remembered. And Ben, I can just give an example of, when the president, and I really want to appreciate what the president did. I wish he can listen to my sentiments. On this Katiba Day, the very first Katiba Day, the Virgin Katiba Day, if he can just listen also to what I'm putting across concerning persons with disabilities. It is a well-meaning day, but there's need to reflect. In the Katiba Day, what are we doing about persons with disabilities? How have we obeyed Article 44(2) of the Constitution? How have we protected it? And how have we implemented it? And I want to say that I like the way the president is keen about, promoting women and ensuring that the 2/3 gender rule is implemented. Because I remember when I was in Parliament, it was actually not implemented because of, the circumstances that were, maybe it was politically, constrained. But then when the president took over, he now took the initiative of ensuring that he's actually implementing it by himself. I remember at one point in Embu, during the Women's International Day, what the president did, he allowed about 9 to 10, you can check in the archives for the right number. About 9 to 10 women to be in high-profile positions where there were ambassadors, deputy ambassadors. But I want to commend the president for doing that. But I want to say that he actually did not protect Article 54(2), because out of the women that he appointed, none had a disability. So we are looking at issues where we want the Constitution to be protected, to be obeyed, and to be enhanced, so that everyone feels that they are part of this country. And when it comes to people with disabilities, why I like to talk about people with disabilities is that people with disabilities have an education. People with disabilities, we have also those who can deliver. But when it comes to really appointing, nominative and elective positions, they're forgotten. They're actually put in the forgotten basket, so that even when these handsome positions come, when these lucrative positions come, nobody talks about them. And the president, it was an oversight, because no one with a disability, no woman with a disability was actually nominated to those positions. And even Ben, the Constitution talks about the 2/3 gender rule. And it is something very important that needs really to be fronted. But even if it needs to be fronted, Ben, there's need also to really remember that even if we are talking about women being involved in the 2/3 gender rule, there's a specific group of women that is not remembered. When we talk about 2/3 gender rule, the women will be given more positions and all that, but the women with disabilities are actually forgotten. If you want to talk about that, nobody talks about that. The issue is hidden under the carpet. But I want to say that as a woman with a disability and as a scholar and as a leader, I cannot keep quiet. I cannot shy from that, because I'm representing, or I'm talking about many women who are voiceless, many women who may not be able to come to the studio and speak their voices. We are talking about many people who may not even be able to go to Parliament and say, this is where the shoe is really pinching. So there's need to have a candid conversation to ensure that even when you're talking about the NADCO report, then people with disabilities are embraced, people with disabilities are given a significant impact in this society. And I want to say, Ben, and I want to say before Kenyans, that long are the times when we looked at persons with disabilities from a pity paradigm. In some countries, what they do for persons with disabilities, they even look at the skills they have. And I want to thank also the games that are going on, that naturally persons with disabilities who are good in sports, they're given an opportunity. I remember when I was in Parliament, they'll be given opportunities to go and play out there, to go and compete internationally, and see that makes them feel that they're contributing, significantly to this country. But if they're forgotten again, they become a burden. Long are the days when those days are gone, when we looked at persons with disabilities from a pity paradigm where they were living on handouts. What I want to say, Ben, and I want to say before everyone who is listening to me, is that right now, persons with disabilities do not want the fish. They're not interested in fish. They're interested in the road. They're not interested in money. They're interested in what can I do to get money?
Empower them.
Empowerment.
All right. And the reason I really want us to also put persons with disabilities on the limelight is because 15 years down the line, we just passed the Disability Act this year. 15 years. In as much as we are saying that the Constitution is progressive, there are some things we are really dragging. But allow me first of all to rope in Daktari Joseph Rotich. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Ben.
It's good to see you again, boy.
A long time.
Yes.
I believe there are a lot of things that have happened since that time.
Yes, a lot. And now we have we'll be celebrating Katiba Day from tomorrow. That is the 27th of August, and it will be an annual event. But just to bring you up to speed, the 2010 Constitution has been hailed as one of the most progressive, probably even in the world. I would like to pick your mind in regards to now we are having Katiba Day and the efforts that we have had to ensure that now we can celebrate more or less like the Bible of, or the Quran of laws that Kenyans are using since the 2010 and the gains that we've been able to achieve in that time.
Hey, thank you so much, Ben. People normally say Constitution is a living document. It's a living document. And when you say it is a living document, it is also dynamic. And that is why we say it is progressing. You can remember, Ben, when we were in the process of making these constitutions, there were those who were scapegoat. I mean, they had their own way of thinking that about 20% of the Constitution was not really up to the standard or up to date. And even as we stand today, I still believe there is a percentage of this Constitution that has to be, or that needs some amendment, or rather progressively amended, as I can say. But one thing I want to tell you, Ben, we have made a lot of strides as a country. Me, I lived in the years of the older Constitution.
Yeah, the 1962
and I'm also living in the years of the current 2010 Constitution.
Yeah.
And I can tell you there's a whole world of difference. Because Kenyans now are free to express themselves. They are free to go anywhere. They are free to write anything, which could not be done in the years back. You may cite, for example, Ben, if in the whole Constitution, if one could imagine about the death of the president, if one could imagine about, or even suggesting of some calamity to happen to a very prominent person in the land, it was a treasonable case. But as at the moment, when Ben, you look the other day whereby even some of our youth could place His Excellency the President in the coffin as a symbol. But that guy is walking free. So it shows how much we have gained as a people. And when you look at it, Ben, again, I was hearing what the Tanzanians, what they were commending about the Kenyan people, that Kenyan society has really gone ahead. They are even educated in their own constitution. In fact, our young generations are well informed. They read the constitution on a daily basis. And they are praising us that we have gone ahead, that we understand the Katiba, we understand the constitution of this country. So what I can say, Ben, the gains of the current constitution are quite visible, and the Kenyans have gone ahead to live the life of this constitution. You can see the free expression that our youth had recently, the so-called Gen Zs. And they went to the streets of all the odds. I mean, demanding their rights. And finally, the country or the government had to succumb. You cannot talk about the 2022-24 constitutional financial bill, which was denied by the youth. And they said, no, we don't want. And the country, the Israel be heeded. And it was. And that is the constitution that we are fighting for. And had our old generation, the founder fathers of this nation, if they had fought, and we would not be having the same rights that we have. In fact, Right Honorable Raila Odinga has been calling the first, the third, and the fourth generation. So we have been getting liberations. We have been being liberated as Kenyans. And that is why we can say today we can change our constitution to suit the current demands. There were those things that were not there, like cyber crimes and such like that, which were not there in the previous constitution. But as of now, we want to make the constitution more relevant to the current changes in our country.
Yes, let me pick from where Daktari has left. And Daktari, I also would like to pick your mind in regards to one of the things that key features that I mentioned. I mentioned the Bill of Rights, just like Daktari has mentioned. Then there's the devolution of power and services. You happen to be senator, and according to the crafters of the 2010 Constitution, the Senate is supposed to be the upper house, and also the guardian of devolution. We have devolved health, we have devolved a number of functions, but there are some we still haven't there. I would like you, as one of the guardians of the devolution, to pick your mind in regards to the devolved units and how we've been able now to devolve services. Are we there yet?
Thank you very much, Ben, for bringing in the issue of the devolved government. And one good thing about this constitution is the devolved form of government that was introduced. That Senate is the upper house, and it represents the counties and the interests of the counties, and also oversees what happens in the oversees county governments. And I want to say that this is something that happened that has brought a very big change in this country. Because initially, before the 2010 Constitution and before the Senate also, was given that role, you find that there are some roads that were not accessible, even, machinani. That sometimes people would operate without even going to town. Sometimes it was very difficult even to have power going into rural Kenya, the remotest part of rural Kenya. And sometimes you also find that people are just dying in their homes. There are no hospitals and all that. But with the devolved units, we find that the county governments are there, and the county governments have roles when it comes to ensuring that service delivery reaches the common man. Now, remember, when you're talking about the 2010 Constitution, its desire is that power is given to the people, and power also speaks on the issues of health. Power also speaks on the issues of electricity. Power speaks also on the issues of education. Power speaks on issues that are pertinent when it comes to socio-economic issues. So when it comes to the devolved units, you find that a lot has happened. When you go to rural Kenya, in most counties, you'll find that roads are now passable. Long time ago, when I was young, I remember it was a nightmare even going to rural, seeing my grandparents, because the roads were impassable. Sometimes a journey of 5 hours would take almost a whole day or even 2 days. The roads are not passable. But when you go to county governments, you'll find that roads are there, and you'll also find that hospitals are there. Most county governments are working on level 1, level 2, up to even level 5 hospitals. But this is because of the devolved units. Because without devolution, I'm sure that these roads would still be in the pathetic state that they were. So I want to say that in terms of accessibility, roads are actually being improved, and the county government is also doing its best. And I want to say, even when it comes to healthcare, maternal health care and all that, it has improved simply because of the issue of devolution. And when it comes to even the money that is sent to, set aside for county governments, that money has made a big change when it comes to development issues, in county governments. And the governors who are taking good advantage of this money have even made their counties, attractive, so that we do not have trafficking of youths coming to Nairobi, everybody coming to Nairobi to look for jobs. County governments can still create jobs wherever they are and ensure that the youths are also active wherever they are. So I want to say that the devolved units is a key thing, and the fact that also money is also increased to county governments is important, and the role of the Senate in oversighting this money is very important, because there are times when even this money can be misused. So the Senate, as an upper house, when it oversights, the money used in county governments and all that, it makes, the executives there, very sensitive that, anytime I can be called to the Senate to answer this and that. So that is very important. And I want to say that it is something that we should really encourage. When it comes to CDF again, What I've seen also, I've just come back from my home. Most of the time I spend when I'm free just at home to see how the village life is and what needs are there and so on. Because being a leader, you cannot just play the ostrich. You need to see what is happening so that you can know what gaps are there and all that. And I've seen also there's some people who are using their CDF very well. There's some MPs who are using their CDF very well. And there's development also in Mashinani, and that is what is supposed to happen. And this is strengthened by the Katiba.
Yeah, and still on the same, because you're still a leader, there have been a discussion in regards to the CDF. They want it to be enshrined in the counties, but the MPs still want to just hold on that the NGCDF. I would like to pick your mind in regards to that. Remember, the court did say, with all fairness, the court said that it's unconstitutional, null and void. It shouldn't be. This NGCDF should not be under the hands of the MPs. Should be either incorporated as county funds. Would you like it to continue? Because that is the discussion. I think even the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga said that this money, yes, NGCDF should be enshrined in the county funds as well, as opposed to what it is now.
Okay, we can look at it, as two sides of a coin, yeah? That there's some MPs who are truly doing their best to ensure that with the CDF money, they're empowering the people, they're improving education, they're improving healthcare and all that, where maybe county governments may not have reached. So when it comes to the issue of development, I think there's a way in which we can strike a balance so that we have some money that the MPs can also use to develop themselves. Because remember, they're the people's representatives.
Okay, just hold the thought, Senator, because my director informs me that we need to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, Dr. Rotich, we have been talking about inclusion, devolution, and we'll pick from where Senator has left in regards to how are we in terms of devolution, separation of powers, 2/3 gender rule, leadership and governance. We'll be back. This is KBC News Check.
The ongoing Chan 2024 is intriguing.
Well, after the VAR check, it's been ruled out. It's not a goal.
CAF's flagship tournament attracts over 1.4 billion TV audiences and 2.2 billion digital streams, making it one of the top 4 global football events.
Full time, and Kenya have done the unthinkable. They go undefeated through the group stages in the group of death.
To our esteemed sponsor and partner, numbers don't lie. To the 12th man in Kenya and globally, it is not boasting if you can back it up. We salute you. Let's keep doing it the way we know how. Live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Magharibi mwa Kenya. maisha ya familia moja maskini yanaelea kwenye ukingo wa taabu.
Umetoa wapi hizi pesa?
Dadi, umeiba.
Mwizi! Wewe ndio mwizi, unaiba mbuzi wangu.
Baba ni mlevi, ameitelekeza familia yake na inayumbayumba.
Leo mimi sijalewa na bado una raha.
Andrew, adui mkubwa wa familia hii, anaichukia.
Nini mnapigania?
Shamba.
Toka mbele yangu wewe.
Pate pesa zetu bwana.
Hauogopi Mungu, hauogopi shetani.
Congratulations, Dina.
Nyamaza! Wanga kusema daktari anadanganya.
Kwa Josh, kilichosalia ni mzigo mkubwa zaidi kielimu kama atafaulu kujiunga na chuo na kimaisha. Je, atatoboa?
Welcome back to KBC News Tech. We are looking at the anticipated first anniversary that we will celebrate, the Katiba Day. Of course, we are celebrating 15 years, but the official celebrations, the first of its kind, tomorrow, Wednesday. And right here, I have two doctors who are helping us to put things into perspectives. We are looking at maybe back before we promulgated the Constitution in 2010, and we are looking at the gains and the challenges that we are having. I remember asking you kindly to weigh in on this conversation on all our social media spaces. My director informs me that we need to cross over to the Jamia Mosque. The Jamia Mosque, where the Halal Science and Tech Workshop is currently underway. My colleague Farah is following up on that bit. Let's first of all listen in. All right, apologies, we are having some challenges in regards to that feed, but as we look into that, let me get back to our discussion. Again, I'm honored to be hosting Dr. Senator Gertrude Musuruve, who is a former senator and also a scholar. She is a lecturer at one of the universities here in Nairobi, and just next to her we have Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is a policy yes, JKUAT. Yeah, she is a lecturer at JKUAT, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, and just next to her we have Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is a policy and governance expert. Before we had that break, we were looking at the governance structures, and I would like you to weigh in so that we have the senator weigh in regards to the two-thirds gender rule. You do remember Chief Justice David Kenani Maraga, before he retired, when he was Chief Justice, he recommended, gave an advisory that Parliament should be dissolved. Reason being, we are not observing the two-thirds gender rule as enshrined in the Constitution. Dr. Rotich, I would like to weigh in on that.
This has been the most difficult thing to apply.
And actually, after that was before 2022.
It is actually more easier said than it can be done. Because when you talk about how best can you apply in an elective position like this country, yes, you can arrange, you can make an arrangement. It is an office that you are setting. You can do such calculation and come up with the number of, the balance, gender, whatever, the two-thirds gender rule. But where you talk about the elective positions, not unless you are filling with those who are nominated to fill up the cup. Otherwise, it does not be very easy to apply.
But Dr. Rotich, I would beg to differ with you, because there are some countries who are already there. In as much as we are saying that we are not there yet, we need to actually, right now, since that declaration, we should have done something. Since Maraga talked about it, we had 2022, just 2022 we had elections.
Yes.
We are not even close to the two-thirds gender rule.
That's why I'm telling you, Ben, when it comes to elective positions, how can you choose who to be elected in any particular
maybe Senator, just a minute, let's Senator
maybe,
we can empower them.
So my argument is
I think this argument is getting candidly hot and interesting.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the advisory that Justice Maraga gave, it was a noble advisory. that should not have been ignored. Because, you know, when Justice Maraga talked about the two-third gender rule, and he actually stated clearly that then Parliament needs to be dissolved if it cannot, you know, implement the two-third gender rule. Remember, it is in the Constitution. The Constitution is the law of the land. And we need to really abide by the Constitution. We need to protect it. We need to preserve it. We need to implement it. So at the implementation stage, there's need to really come up and see how can we implement this. And that is how even the NADCO report comes in, to have a national you know, dialogue concerning how can we implement the two-third gender rule. I was in Parliament that time when you know, the Justice Maraga advisory you know, came up. And I remember it was a hot debate, and even our fellow, you know, counterparts, the men, you know, they supported us. They wore scarves when we were signifying that we really want it to be implemented. So I want to say that yes, it is something that is doable. And why I'm saying it is doable, I mentioned at one point, and I've also come here before to mention how the president has done it. When he went to Embu during the International Women's Day, he just made a proclamation, and he was well-meaning, and he decided that these women will become ambassadors and deputy ambassadors. They did not empower women. So really what you're saying, before 2022, a conversation should have been done so that they look at ways and means of ensuring that women are empowered. Because once women are empowered, then it is possible for them now to upscale to the next level of being elected and all that. So there's usually a starting point. So what I want to say about the two-third gender rule, it is possible, even in government positions. It is possible to ensure that women have a significant representation. And even when they have a significant representation, kindly just allow me to say this, women with disabilities need to be there. Because when it comes to empowering, people think in terms of just women, but they forget we also have women with disabilities who can also deliver, but they lack a voice. So that voice, even as the president, and I want to commend him for what he's doing, even as he appoints, let the president also, and I wish he can hear my words, let the president also remember, even among CSs, it doesn't pain to have a CS with a disability. Even just one. We are not asking for two, just one. You know, our voice can be there. When it comes to PSs, even if we have 3 PSs with disabilities, you know, it gives a voice to women that, yes, women with disabilities also have somewhere. Even when it comes to commissions and all that, lucrative jobs, let PWDs also be there. So when we are talking of women being empowered, the two-third gender rule being actualized, let it be actualized also with a mindset that among these women, there are those who are voiceless, and we want to strengthen their voice. We want their voice to be heard. And these are women with disabilities, because they can make it. Some of them have an education, by the way, but when it comes to sharing the cake, they're in the waste paper basket. That is what happens. Everywhere else, I'm not talking about...
All right, Rotich, I'm still on the two-thirds gender rule. In as much as we are looking at reality, you know, it's quite a challenge. Let me take you back. Let me take you back to 2022, yeah? The president did say that half of his appointive positions will be women. Then, if you're talking about it's quite a hard thing, then I believe we do not have the political goodwill. You do remember his promise.
I think I'm almost with you. When you talk of lack of political goodwill, I'm there with you. I really, your sentiment is actually almost 100%. So, but what I'm saying, in some areas, talk of employable opportunities. Those opportunities that are offered for appointments or whichever way, we are able to plan. But you cannot plan for a political position, because, you know, we have 290 constituencies. And in these 290 constituencies, you don't call them that in our parliament, we have the two-third gender representation. When we want you, Belgood, to produce a lady, we want you, Sigaway, to produce a man. I mean, those are things that you can, but when it comes to appointing position, you can balance them the way you want. And maybe why this country has been lacking is because it is lacking, apart from the political goodwill, is the actual practicability of the whole thing. How is it possible? But yes, it is enshrined in our constitution. Let me go to another thing. I know this one is very hard. And there is this issue that we have been talking about, what default function has really done in our, in our counties.
Now, just before we go there, you know, just before we go there, Ben, I would like to add something to what he said about, you know, the two-third gender rule. And I remember there was a proposition, and it has always been there, that when it comes to maybe elective, if you know, a governor is male, then the assistant should be female, and vice versa.
Yeah, and that could also be possible.
So what you say, that is political. So what you're saying,
but the goodwill you don't have, just like Dr. is talking about.
We need the goodwill of the executive. That is very important, because once we have the goodwill of the executive, everything else will flow. So what I'm saying is that during our time, the goodwill was not very strong. It was just mere talk. But what I'm saying, when the president now, like the case of Embu, International Women's Day, and decided these positions are for, you know, for women, high-profile positions. You know, that was an executive, proclamation that works. So what we're saying, it is possible for us to increase, you know, the representation of women in parliament, and even women with disabilities. But political parties can sit down, you know, they talk. They can sit and see, how can we harmonize this? How can we embrace also women with persons with disabilities, so that their voice is stronger in parliament, their voice is stronger in the National Assembly, their voice is stronger in the Senate. I remember during the Building Bridges initiative, persons with disabilities, gave propositions concerning how they can be increased. And the proposition they were giving, like in Senate, we have two positions only, male and female. But the proposition persons with disabilities were giving was that in the Senate, we can have 4 slots for persons with disabilities, so that we have 2 male and 2 female. And then in the National Assembly also, the proposition was to increase. You see, once you increase, now you give them a voice. You give them a voice to articulate issues of disability. And apart from articulating issues of disability, you give them a financial platform to now think of now going for an elective position. Because when it comes to elective positions, you need finances, my dear. You need finances. You cannot say that because you have a disability, people will sympathize with you. People want to see that you have finances. When it comes to elective positions, finances are important. But again, if you have a disability and you're not financially empowered, then how can you go for that seat? It becomes a challenge. So, Rotich,
assist me with this constitution. There's something I want us to read together. That is Article 1. Article 1
power belongs to the people of this country.
And there's a guy on social media you've seen talking about the people of Kenya shall and may. That is what I want us to talk about. Where is the voice of Kenyans? Because we have seen during I do remember when we had the finance bill last year, Kenyans came out in large numbers. They were saying no. But the MPs, their representatives, went against their will. Article 1 says there is sovereignty of the people and the supremacy of the Constitution. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this Constitution. The people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representative, and it goes on and on and on. Let's talk about where are Kenyans factored in all of this, because the public participation, we did see the public participation when it came to the issue of impeaching the deputy president. We've seen a number of public participation. We do not have a public participation act. I believe you guys at the parliament and Senate, you need actually to look into that. But I believe there's a bill on its way. But we do not have an act in regards to the public participation, because if you talk about all the power belongs to the people, we need really to put that power in their hands. I would like to pick your mind in regards to the people and their voices. Are we being heard as just Kenyans?
Now, concerning the people and the voices, now remember, when these people are in office, they did not get there without the consent of the people.
Yes.
They were democratically elected, and they were, duly given their seats. So people decided these are representatives. Then if people decided these are the representatives, if they made a wrong move, if they feel they made the wrong move, then they need to wait until the next election, and then they look for proper
Senator, we can recall them. We can recall them.
In fact, one thing I need to say is that people need to know that when they elect people in office and they're not satisfied with them, then they need to wait until the next election. So that is an eye-opener that when you're giving positions to people, you give positions because you have decided that this is the person who will represent you. Since you can't go to parliament, since you can't go to the Senate, you can't go to the National Assembly, these are the people who represent us. If you elect an MP, then you've allowed him to be there for 5 years. So if he does not meet your expectations, then you wait until the 5 years, then you duly now remove him from office. So that is the procedural way of ensuring that you're empowered.
Yeah, Daktari, I want to pick your mind in regards to the Voice of Kenya and the Article 1 that gives all the powers to the Kenyan people. Do you believe we have really actualized this based on what we've seen? We have seen public participation, we have seen MPs go against the will of the people, and nothing. We do nothing, literally.
I think, Ben, what you need to understand is that the constitution of the land can only succeed with the informed citizenry. When I say informed citizenry, I mean the people of Kenya must be informed about what is in their constitution so that they can demand on a daily basis. And when you talk about the members of parliament, these are representatives of the people. So they are there on behalf of their constituents, because every member of parliament is elected from a constituency. So that election means the people authorize that particular member of parliament or delegated their own powers to that member of parliament to exercise their rights in the House of Parliament.
Yeah.
So in that case, we cannot rule out and say that the people are not considered or they are not touched. Those parliamentarians that you see, transacting business on daily basis actually are there on behalf of their own people. However, there are issues that goes beyond their mandates, because there are issues that people feel on their day-to-day basis that we want to see our representatives actually exercising this on our behalf. Like the demand that they had about the financial bill 2023-2024, whereby the majority of you actually came out and say we don't want this unbalanced financial bill, and the head of state actually heeded. So if they were not informed about the constitution, if they were not informed about their rights, and if they were hard, and the government actually implemented their demand, that means they have exercised their rights. So I don't mean to say that they have not exercised their rights. What we are saying, what we need as Kenyans, our leaders must be a listening lot. They must be a listening lot, because as we said, the Kenyans are widely informed. They read their constitutions, they know their rights, they know what they are as a people. So whatever they contribute on their daily basis, they have to be listened to by their representatives, and they must act on that.
All right.
Just a small comment, Ben. What I wanted to say about the constitution is that one thing we need to know about knowledge. Knowledge is power, and it's only power when it's shared. So you'll find that there are many people who are ignorant of the constitution. They have not even opened any article of the constitution. They'll go by what they're being told. So I think there's need to have a deliberate effort of also, passing information to people, imparting information about the constitution, what the constitution says about socioeconomic rights, about when it comes to also electing their leaders and all that. Because some people just go blindly, they elect, then later on they begin complaining, sometimes they go on the streets. So they need to also enlighten people on the articles in the constitution, and also give the right interpretation of what that requires. And this should be done even before elections, so that when people are going to elect their leaders, they go from an informed perspective. That is also lacking.
All right, and also we are joined by Advocate of the High Court and also a leadership in governance expert, Gibson Gisore. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Troy, thank you, my panelists. I'm sorry for traffic is bad. Made it late.
All right. We are celebrating 50 years of Katiba, and let me be very honest. I was at the Bomas in 2004. I was, you do remember the Machungwa and the disease. I do remember.
The Wako draft.
Yes, the Wako draft. And now we have a new constitution. And it was supposed to cure a number of things that I did mention earlier on, just to mention but a few. Basically, Bill of Rights, look into matters land, giving Kenyans the power. Do you believe that, we are having, because all these rights cannot be realized if you do not have good democratic space, and Kenyans have been arguing, a section of Kenyans have been arguing that we've been having a shrinking democratic space. We are back to when we didn't have the constitution back in the Moi days. I would like to pick your mind in regards to that and the rule of law.
Thank you, Troy. What I would want to say is that you see, Kenya has come a long way, right from the time we were having colonization, when there were no rights per se. The only rights were for the whites, and everything was meant to work in favor of the colonizers. Then we got independence with the Independence Constitution, which was debated in Lancaster. And that is a very big step, because most African countries are actually using that constitution. Our friends in Tanzania are still using the colonial chapter of the constitution. So we have been able to move a little bit ahead, and we need to be proud of ourselves because of that. We have been able to develop our democracy to a level that at one point we went back when we had the one-state rule for a very long time, and then in 1992 we were able to come back. As Kenyans, we were able to embrace multi-party democracy, which has been able to give rise or give birth to the new constitution that we have. The democratic space has not been shrinking as compared as. The issue is that some gains are being actually not being optimized. That's what we can talk about, because I've traveled to a few countries in Africa, and I can tell you that Kenya is a good space. We have even people who are expatriates who come from outside, whether it is from the West, it's Europe or the US. Once they arrive here, they never want to leave because of the democratic space we have and the constitution, that you can actually have a rule of law applied. So that is something we need to be able to be proud of as Kenyans, and we can be able to help push it forward for the next generation. So there are also some few challenges which we have faced, and this is in terms of the nitty-gritties of democracy. How parliament operates, for example, is a very big challenge, and how the executive behaves is also another big challenge, which we need to look at and be able to shape it. Our governance structure, right from the Devolution conference, which we had just the other day in Omabe, we could be able to see some gaps which we can be able to capitalize on. These are gains which have been put in place by the Constitution. So we cannot say that we are going back, we are actually going forward. What we need to do, and I want to thank the President for actually recognizing the fact that we need a civic education day, whereby we can be able to sit and talk and take even stock of the Constitution, how far we have come, what we need to improve, what we need to change, so that we can be able to be a developed country. We have a very good and robust constitution. The only thing, or the major challenge which we face as Kenyans, because constitution cannot be able to just guarantee growth or economic growth without us putting in the nitty-gritty. We can be able to embrace the socioeconomic rights and then be able to have those rights actually be enforced, then we can be a good state.
It's a long journey that we have come since the 1969 Lancaster. And I remember any good constitution, just like everyone has talked about, is a robust and progressive constitution. There have been attempts to amend. And I remember giving an example of some of the constitutions that have undergone a number of amendments, including the US Constitution. In Kenya, I think we've kind of tried the BBI initiative. Now we have the NADCO. And of those initiatives, I wouldn't say they were on the right track, because you can see that NADCO is just gathering dust somewhere. It has not been implemented. The BBI was died in the courts because we didn't follow the law. We didn't follow the same constitution that we wanted to amend. I'd like to pick your mind in regards to amending the constitution. Is time ripe? We're only 15 years old.
So far, so good. There is a robust debate to have the constitution amended. The major challenge, every Kenyan agrees that indeed we need to have our governance structure restructured in one way or another. For example, we cannot be having the setup we have in terms of the leaderships of, for example, having a cabinet secretary. We need to have a prime minister because we need to move into the parliamentary way of leadership, whereby we can have responsibility being borne by the executive. So that's how Parliament can be able to properly check the executive. As it stands, you heard what even the president said. And you know, those are serious governance issues. He's raising the issues of corruption. That is from the executive pointing a finger to the Parliament, and that has always been the case. And people have always known that Parliament is the biggest challenge we have to exercising our democracy. So if we can be able to rein in on that, remember we've been able to deal with the judiciary a couple of times and we have been able to sanitize it. Parliament has never been sanitized. If we can have the executive point a finger to the Parliament and then seek clear guidance, and then the people themselves understand. Of course, the only way we get to change members of Parliament is after every 5 years. 5 years is too long for bad governance, and that really costs us. So if we can be able to have a strengthened Parliament which understands, which can in turn be able to hold these other two arms of government in check, then we can be able to do a lot. So if we can be able to have, for example, a prime cabinet, a prime minister who sits in Parliament and answers the questions from the executive in Parliament, whose cabinet comes and also answers questions the way they're supposed to be, then we could be able to have moved a step further. But nonetheless, without the prime cabinet, without the prime minister sit still, we can be able to function optimally with what we have.
Actually, that is what I want us to wrap up with, matters integrity and the doctrine of separation of powers, because we have seen the Parliament talking about, the executive talk about pointing fingers at Parliament, and Parliament also pointing fingers at the executive. We have seen that in the last couple of days, and that is what we will be looking at. And also the future outlook. What can we expect in terms of making the Constitution more robust? Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with this discussion.
Mohamed Abuja claims the man of the match accolades. One of the very few not playing for the big two. He represents Al Zamala.
Praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Tim Wangi, and I want to invite you for a life-changing, transformative show.
I was blinded and thrown to the floor on my knees, just like Saul.
conversations.
Gen Z ni nani? E-boldness mnatoa wapi?
Kuna mentality fulani yenye inakujenga, si a rebellion really, but ni ya kuquestion system.
Engagements that are life-changing and provocative.
When you are young, your core business should be to create value in yourself.
Join me, DJ Andy C, bringing to you Kingdom Vibe, full of gospel bangers.
Join us for Angaza Show.
Every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Only on KBC Channel 1.
When the sun rises, so does the sound of praise. Every weekend, join us on a spiritual journey filled with soul-stirring music, powerful testimonies, and the true heart of worship. From Kenya's most anointed voices to the new generation of gospel ministers, Worship Experience brings you the atmosphere of heaven right into your home. Don't miss Worship Experience every Saturday and Sunday, only on KBC Channel 1. Worship Experience, uplift your spirit. Connect with God.
Welcome back to KBC News Check. We are on the tail end of this candid discussion. Remember, tomorrow and every 27th day of August, as mandated by the President William Ruto, is that we will be celebrating and commemorating Katiba Day. And the lady and gentlemen that I have in studio indeed have a wealth of knowledge in regards to the Constitution. We have been perusing in regards to the rights of do we have a shrinking space? Do we have are we having a future in regards to how we can amend the Constitution? That is what I want us to look at just before we wrap up this conversation. And before we went for the break, we were looking at, and even during the break, we were looking at the efforts to amend the Constitution. We had mentioned BBI earlier on, which was dead on arrival. We've had NADCO report, which we're talking about 10-point agenda that haven't been implemented yet. Senator, what would it take to amend the Constitution? And as a leader, do you feel that it is we are ready to amend the Constitution? It's time to amend it.
Thank you, Njue, for seeking for my thoughts. Now, as a leader, I feel that there's need to amend the Constitution. When we are thinking in terms of amending the Constitution, we have to look at it in such a way that, one, it will show the face of Kenya. And apart from showing the face of Kenya, to ensure that even what people have been clamoring for, the two-third gender rule, issues of PWD representation, are now implemented. Because actually, these are things that are not being implemented. But when you look at the NADCO report, the propositions that were being given is that the two-third gender rule be implemented. You can imagine even when Justice Maraga himself gave his proposition, it was ignored. Nobody even cared to do what he wanted. So there's need to implement to change amend the Constitution, so there's the space for everyone. We need space for everyone in terms of decision making. We need the space of everyone in terms of governance, so that everyone feels that he is actually or she is actually represented and has the power, because as the Constitution says rightly, power belongs to the people of Kenya.
Do you believe the NADCO report can take us there?
Yes, it can take us there.
It has had both sides. There are some people who are supporting it and others who are not supporting it.
Yes, it can take us there, because one thing we need to know about the NADCO report, there are things that the NADCO report was trying to help, reduce, like what usually happens immediately after elections. There's usually a lot of post-election violence and all that, and it's usually because of power. whether we want it or not, at the top, people must agree. If they don't agree, they'll come down to the ground, you know, and the grass is the one that suffers. But in the NADCO report, the proposition that was being given is that even the loser has something. It's not an issue of the winner has it all. You see, now, the NADCO report was going to cure some of these issues where the winner had it all. When the winner has it all, what happens? The rest of Kenya is now left out. But according to the NADCO report, even the losers, even the loser has something to say.
Okay, kindly, apologies for that, but I'm informed that we need to cross over to the house on the hill, that is State House, where the official visit by His Highness Prince Rahim Aga Khan V is currently underway. Let's first of all cross over.
Your Excellency, it is now my distinguished honor and high privilege to invite you to take your place at the conferment arena. Once you take your position, sir, you will confer and bestow national honors, the Chief of the Order of the Golden Heart, CGH, on behalf of the people of Kenya, to His Highness Princess Rahim Aga Khan V, decorating him in recognition of his distinguished and outstanding service to the Republic of Kenya and to the whole of humanity in his role as the Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims and chairperson of the Aga Khan Development Network.
of the government and people of Kenya, I extend my warmest congratulations to you, Your Highness Prince Rahim Al Husseini Aga Khan V, upon assuming the esteemed leadership as the 50th hereditary Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims. I also take great pride in congratulating you on receiving the Chief of the Order of the Golden Heart, Kenya's highest civilian honor, a recognition of your personal commitment and the Aga Khan Development Network's distinguished service to the people of Kenya. I equally congratulate Princess Zara Aga Khan on being awarded the Elder of the Order of the Golden Heart, an honor that reflects her outstanding leadership and lifelong dedication to advancing health, education, and social development here in Kenya and globally. This moment, ladies and gentlemen, is both historic and symbolic. It affirms Kenya's deep appreciation of the enduring legacy of Ismaili Imamat, whose service to humanity has long been a pillar of our national journey. For decades, the Aga Khan Development Network has been a trusted ally in Kenya's development, establishing hospitals and schools that save lives and nurture talent, investing in hospitality, media, and insurance to spark growth and create jobs, and advancing cultural and environmental initiatives that safeguard our heritage and strengthen our communities. These contributions align seamlessly with our bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which is anchored in equity, opportunity, and dignity for all Kenyans. Your Highness, we recall with immense gratitude the remarkable contribution of your late father, His Highness Aga Khan IV, his enduring devotion to improving quality of life, and his close partnership with Kenya since independence left an immeasurable legacy. We are confident that under your stewardship, the Imamat will not only continue this noble mission, but also open new frontiers of cooperation between us and you. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding of General Cooperation between the governments of Kenya and the Ismaili Imamat was a major milestone in our relationship. It laid the groundwork for even deeper collaboration in health, education, environmental conservation, climate action, and cultural preservation. Already, the impact of the Aga Khan Development Network in Kenya is both vast and transformative. Its health facilities receive over 900,000 patient visits every year, providing quality care to families across the nation. With 3 major hospitals and more than 70 health centers, the Aga Khan Development Network has built a healthcare presence that reaches deep into communities, offering maternal and child health services that save countless lives. Beyond treatment, its commitment to higher education and training is equipping our doctors, nurses, and specialists with world-class skills and strengthening Kenya's healthcare workforce. Additionally, I am pleased to note the recent collaboration between the Social Health Authority and the Aga Khan University Hospital to expand access to life-saving kidney transplants and advanced cardiac surgeries. Under this framework, SHA provides financial and welfare support to eligible patients, while the university hospital delivers specialized medical care. This ensures that vulnerable Kenyans receive not only surgery, but also pre-operative assessment and post-operative care while being shielded from catastrophic health expenses. In addition, the Aga Khan Foundation has supported nearly 1,000 public schools, benefiting hundreds of thousands of pupils and teachers. Initiatives like Schools 2030, which Kenya co-hosted this year, reaffirm our shared commitment to innovation and excellence in education. Equally impressive is the Development Network's environmental work. In just 3 years, 1.5 million trees have been planted in Kenya by the network, much of it in the Mau Forest, as part of a wider global program that has planted over 100 million trees in Asia and Africa. As we celebrate this landmark moment, we equally look to new opportunities to deepen our collaboration in areas at the heart of Kenya's transformation. We welcome your partnership in affordable housing, a flagship initiative that will deliver safe and dignified shelter to millions, while creating thousands of jobs, stimulating industries, and expanding opportunities for small enterprises. In our earlier discussion, Your Highness, I could see your passion when you asked me about affordable housing. Because, like you, I believe it gives dignity to people. People who would otherwise live in situations that are subhuman. When people live in structures that have no sanitation, that have no access to clean water, that have no access to electricity or roads, it reduces their dignity. And your passion and commitment to affordable housing is a passion that I share, and the government of Kenya has a program. I just showed you what we are doing. We have 200 sites of affordable housing going on in Kenya as we talk. This month, I will again be giving keys to another 5,000 Kenyans right here in Nairobi as part of that program, both for social housing and affordable housing. We also seek to work closely with you on the Nairobi River regeneration through the Climate Works program, which is already engaging 45,000 Kenyans in Nairobi in meaningful work to restore ecosystems, clean waters, and create sustainable urban spaces. This is another program, Your Highness, which is close to our hearts, because apart from cleaning the river, expanding and deepening the river, and the program is also meant to build social housing, to make sure that we turn the Nairobi River, which is now the backyard, into the front of what will be a modern city in Nairobi. And again, because of your environmental passion and what the Aga Khan has been able to do in Kenya in matters environment, and your leadership in that space, I believe there is scope and room for us to work together in that space. These initiatives are reviving our capital city, providing young people with real employment opportunities, and positioning Nairobi and other urban centers as global models of green, resilient renewal. With the Aga Khan Development Network's proven expertise in conservation, cultural heritage, and community-driven development, I am confident we can expand the scale and impact of these initiatives so that climate action delivers ecological restoration and human dignity. Your Highness, the people of Kenya hold you and the imamate in the highest esteem. Today, we honor you not only as a leader, but also as a partner and a friend. We do so with confidence that the bonds between us will grow even stronger, driving forward a shared vision of dignity, justice, and prosperity for our people, for our region, and for humanity. Thank you very much, and welcome to Kenya.
I request that we kindly take our seats. And Your Excellency, with your permission, we'll now transition to the signing of two memoranda of understanding. The first one, allow me, Your Excellency, to invite you to take your seat at the signing table, and also to invite His Highness Prince Rahim Al Hussaini Aga Khan V to also take his seat at the signing table. The memorandum of understanding is between Government of the Republic of Kenya and Ismaili Imamate. The purpose of this memorandum of understanding is to provide a framework for the recognition of the Ismaili Imamate as a legal entity representing the office of the Imam of the Shia Imani Ismaili Muslim established in accordance with the applicable customary law of hereditary succession of the Shia Ismaili Imams, with the capacity in internal relations to engage with the government of the Republic of Kenya. After the signing, we'll then request for a photo opportunity. Once both copies have been signed.
Very well, as you have seen, that's a live feed from State House where the country official state visit, I believe it's the first official visit by His Highness Prince Rahim Aga Khan V, and it has culminated into the signing, as you can see on your screen, the signing of MOUs. Just to mention one or two words that they have mentioned, His Highness Aga Khan talking about they will continue to improve the quality of life, just that they have done in various spheres, and the President has assured them that we will continue to get the support, not only from the Kenyan government, but from the Kenyan people as well. Just in case you joined us, this is News Check, and we are on the tail end of this live conversation in regards to Katiba Day that we will be celebrating tomorrow and every 27th day of August, beginning tomorrow, just as the President gazetted it. And just in case you joined us, I have been having three champions of the Constitution, so to speak. I have been having Senator Honorable Dr. Gertrude Umusuruve, who is not only a lecturer at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, she's also a leadership governance expert and leader as well. And I also have Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is a policy and governance expert, and Gibson Gisore on my far right when we talk about matters the law. He's an advocate and is also a lecturer at Embu University, lecturer of law. Senator, we My director informs that we need to wrap this up, so I will give you guys a minute each to wrap up your conversation. If you remember, we were talking about how we can amend the constitution, and maybe more or less the thing.
Thank you, Njue. Just to wrap up, I want to first of all applaud the president for coming up with a presidential proclamation that every 27th of August we'll be having the Katiba Day.
Well, many Kenyans have wanted it to be a public holiday.
Full-fledged holiday.
A full-fledged holiday.
My thinking, Njue, is that there's need to come up with a thematic analysis of what has been happening all the year with regard to preserving the constitution, protecting the constitution and implementing what the constitution really demands. And I want to say that even as we think in terms of implementing what the constitution demands, we have to remember that there's a category of people that must be remembered always. Persons with disabilities, how have they been empowered economically? So there's need to have a conversation every 27th of August on how this has been implemented, not only in government, but also in parastatals and other, private sectors on how PWDs have been empowered. Because one thing I said, they do not need the fish, they need the fishing rod. Thank you.
Rotich, just a minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. I think to summarize, I can say the 2010 Constitution has brought about immense benefits in this country. Before the 2010 Constitution, we never had the county governments. These are areas whereby we've seen development in all sectors. You talk of roads, you talk of ECDs, you talk of healthcare, you talk of agriculture, you talk of all these things. So we have witnessed a massive development approaches. Even though I still have some reservation about the care under which the county governments are actually taking in terms of managing finances. Because as at the moment, my brother, we are witnessing mega corruptions, which are eating up the gains that we have had as county governments. And there are areas also that I'm seeing that if the current constitution should be amended to regulate the number of people who are actually employed in these county governments, and then also regulate the number of outings in terms of benchmarking, and just to find a way of capping the wastages that we have witnessed in our county governments. And another issue that, of course, I want to make a quick look is about CDF or NGCDF. This is a fund that has worked miracles in this country. And I can tell you, Ben, every child, every vicinity, every region in this country has been touched through this fund. And if it is actually put into our constitution, when they will be amending, I think CDF should be constitutionalized so that we can continue actually enjoying the benefits that we have witnessed in the years back.
Gibson?
Otherwise, so far, so good.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Gibson.
Thank you, Ben. The constitution has come a long way. We are at the crossroad where we need to now move it to the next level. We have been able to cut teeth of the first teeth, like the feet of a child. Now we need to start eating the hard things. So, and by saying that, what I mean is that we need to now be able to take the discussion to the next level. We need to see how our constitution helps us weed out what my good doctor is saying here, that we need to have corruption being cut. That is the action we need. We need to see how socioeconomic rights are going to be fostered. We need to see how devolution actually works. We need to see how our development of the country moves forward. Whether we need to amend or not to amend, we just need to have those concrete steps being put in place. And then I also want to finish by saying that let's take advantage of this day which has been given for public and civic education, whereby we need, if it's an organization, let's also talk about labor rights. Let's talk also about how we can be able to contribute to the Constitution as an institution, and how we can be able to audit what we have been able to do, whether it's been constitutional or unconstitutional, so that we can be able to have the Constitution being understood by every Kenyan.
Thank you. Gibson Gisore, advocate of the High Court and also a university don. Just next to him, Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is a policy and governance expert. Just next to him, Dr. Honorable Senator Gertrude Musruve, who is a former nominated senator and also a university lecturer at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Many thanks indeed for joining us for that long discussion. But we'll be celebrating 15 years tomorrow, the day that we every 27th day of August. What I would say is that let's respect the Constitution just like we respect the Bible, the Quran and other religious texts, so that we may actualize and make it more progressive. Many thanks indeed for joining us for that. But in the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about non-communicable diseases, nutrition and diet as well. When we talk about non-communicable or NCDs, you're talking about hypertension, I'm talking about high cholesterol, depression, etc. We'll be having 2 guests here. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Cabinet, he had a long-standing career as a teacher, rising to the position of principal of Nairobi Upper Hill School. In 1992, Angatia won the Malava parliamentary seat on a Kanu ticket, after which President Daniel Moi appointed him as the Minister for Health. Shortly after his appointment as minister, Angatia claimed mafia cartels at Afia House had put roadblocks that were hindering his work. Angatia faced a number of challenges, including having to deal with one of the longest doctor strikes in the country. In the strike, the medics challenged the government by demanding their rights, including the right to form a trade union of their own. President Moi responded by threatening that the government would import doctors from India and other countries to replace the Kenyan medics. Some medics even fled to neighboring countries, while others left government service for private practice. After the push and pull, the doctors resumed work, and later the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union was registered. Angatia was also entangled in the Pearl Omega affair. Pearl Omega was a herbal-based medicine developed by Professor Arthur Obel and was a supposed cure for HIV and AIDS. Angatia denounced the drug a week later, claiming Professor Obel had not followed medical ethics and had bent the rules of medicine to suit his quest. Angatia was later transferred to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. He lost his parliamentary seat just before the 1997 elections to his 1992 opponent Nathan Anaswa, who had successfully challenged Angatia's win in the 1992 polls, and a by-election was held. Anaswa dethroned Angatia, clinching the Malava seat, triggering Angatia's retirement from politics. He died in 2004, aged 66 years. For the cabinet, I'm Njue.
Very well, many thanks indeed for keeping me company. We're looking at NCDs, non-communicable diseases. And just like I mentioned a minute ago, is that we're talking about hypertension, high cholesterol, depression, diabetes, you name it. Just some quick statistics that we are talking about significant health burden, especially for Kenya, accounting for about 27% of all deaths annually. Yeah, and recent modeling studies indicate that 51% of Kenyan adults currently suffer from at least one NCD. For this conversation, the non-communicable diseases, we'll be calling them NCDs, and the higher burden, 62% of the 51% being people who have one ailment or another, more or less like HIV and AIDS and maybe hypertension and others. And the most prevalent NCDs in Kenya, as I mentioned, is hypertension, high cholesterol, depression and diabetes. Those are the major ones, but of course there are many. But because of the interest of time, allow me to rope in my panel of experts, beginning from my immediate left, where we have Amos Kamau, who is a nutrition advocacy advocate. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Ben.
Just next to him, we have Bevon Mugoshi. Bevon Mogoshi is an NCD advocate, that is non-communicable disease advocate, and also a patient, a type 1 diabetes patient. Karibu sana.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Maybe guys, to very quickly, in a nutshell, when you talk about non-communicable diseases in Kenya, the statistics can only tell us what maybe we want to hear, but where are we in terms of the most prevalent, the ones that are really taking a lot of lives, just like we've seen in these statistics?
Okay, thank you so much, Ben, for having us here. The
Karibuni
KBC
sana.
studio.
Apologies, we had to go to State House first.
We're also there.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I would start by giving you an overview of what NCDs are. So NCDs are diseases that are not transmissible. Me seated here, I cannot transmit an NCD to you. They take very long time to develop and even show up. So NCDs are those diseases that are chronic, that is, they take time before they show up so that you can say you have an NCD. Most of them have various risks. Some are modifiable, some are non-modifiable, which we also get through that. But when it comes to statistics, we have very worrying statistics. I believe these are the ones that have brought this conversation to the national level, regional, and even international level, having forums and conferences talking about how can we invest in NCD so that we can prevent or bring to an end to this constant rise. As we speak now, NCDs account to the highest killer of people in the world, globally, number one. When we zone in as well in Africa, becoming a challenge in a very worrying state. Coming to Kenya, it's still part of the most, the diseases that are costing Kenyans money. So in terms of statistics, we have them like cardiovascular diseases, which are the top, followed by cancer as one of the NCDs that are causing havoc in Kenya as we speak. Yes.
And we'll be looking as also, because there's something that you've mentioned is that it's more or less like we need to really look at these issues and how lifestyle is playing into this as well, because lifestyle is not making these things better, is it?
No.
All right, let me go to Bevon. I was shocked to hear that you're a type 1 diabetes patient and also an NCD, that is a non-communicable disease advocate. That also, in a way, also encouraged me, because you're not only a patient, but you also want to advocate so that you may alleviate the burden that these people undergo. So I would like to, first of all, pick your mind in regards to the type 1 diabetes, that for the interest of our viewers, we have seen that maybe old age being associated with diabetes, but Kenyans also need to know that the type 1 diabetes you can even get if you're a child, when you're a child. Yes, kindly talk about it.
So we have two types of diabetes. You have type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. So the one with type 1 diabetes, they don't have insulin at all, whereby you need to inject insulin so that it can help the body function. And for the type 2 diabetes, they have insulin, but the insulin is not sufficient to able to work into their bodies. And in Kenya, we have so many people who are a type 1 diabetes, which the number is very big, it's worrying, and the government is trying to come up with the solution how they can take care both of the type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes.
Let's zero in on type 1 diabetes. When were you diagnosed and how have you been able to manage?
So I was diagnosed in the year 2015, and since then my life has been involved in insulin management, regular blood checkup, and healthy lifestyle choices. So it hasn't been easy for me. I've been facing a lot of challenge, mostly on the availability and affordable of the insulin,
and the cost,
and the supplies. So this is the one that drives me to become an advocate, so that other people who are on the same condition should not face the challenge that been facing.
You'll be telling us what exactly you are doing and what does an NCD advocate actually mean. But back to you, Mugoshi. Kamau. I'm looking at non-communicable diseases, and I'm looking at the lifestyle that we are currently living. High cholesterol, you know, some of the things that we didn't hear back in the 80s and back in the 70s. Looking at diabetes, the cases were not as pronounced as they are now. I'm looking at depression. I'm looking at cancer, which has been, I think, one of the biggest killers in the world. So how much does lifestyle play in regards to either management or either having a non-communicable disease?
Okay, thank you, Ben. Let me bring you to a term referred to as nutrition transition. I myself have been looking and following it up through various literatures. This means when countries are developing, they tend to move from their traditional diet to a diet called the Western diet or the modern diet. This is a diet that has high ultra-processed foods. They have high fatty foods, much more high with foods with high salt. So, and a change in lifestyle. So this nutrition transition, this change brings out a change in their lifestyles, their behaviors, how they act based on the economic status, based on their understanding or awareness of these specific diseases. So these nutrition transitions brings us to Kenya where it is now. Kenya is one of the countries in Africa which is easily westernized. So that means we are adopting a diet or a lifestyle that is from the Western. We know the statistics in the Western countries in terms of NCDs, diabetes, and even the cost of healthcare for specifically diabetes. Actually, it's kind of can take a GDP of an African country just investing in treatment of diabetes in one of the countries like USA. So the lifestyle we are adopting now is a devastating lifestyle. And I think I'll bring my viewers to the fact that we are losing our traditional, just as you have mentioned, these diseases were not mentioned earlier, but now are being mentioned. You and I can attest the number of ultra-processed foods in our market and the kind of lifestyle we are taking. For example, we are not physically active ourselves. We are not even taking fruits and vegetables. For example, there's a report that says over 90% of Kenyans do not take less than 5 servings of vegetables per day, to a point that even in a day, there's somebody who does not consume vegetables. What do they consume if they do not consume vegetables or fruits? They take carbohydrates. Much more worse, if they are not taking carbohydrates that are from their own traditional diet, they are taking carbohydrates that have been refined. So that is why these diseases are getting the highest rates as fast as possible. And to shock you, Central Kenya is one of the most affected.
Why is that?
I still wonder. It's something we are trying to understand. Why is Central Kenya? Because Kiambu, Nyandarua, there was a report that was released by the Division of Nutrition and Dietetics earlier, I think last week on their website, shows the statistics or the indicators. We call them nutrition indicators. It showed that Central Kenya, women have the highest, call them, they are overweight and obese. Other cases, other areas like Kirinyaga, Nyandarua, it's worrying in that sense. So our lifestyle is changing, and these diseases are an indicator of a change in our lifestyles to the worse.
Yeah, we will be waiting for that to know why we are having these many cases in the Murima. Bevan,
yes.
I'm looking at malaria, HIV, cancer. Government has made concerted efforts in regards to this, to these diseases, some of which are not communicable. But in your view, the efforts that are being put in place in regards to people having or suffering from NCDs, like cancer and diabetes as well, as they as pronounced? Because I know they are not as pronounced as the efforts that we have in regards to malaria. You know, we have TB. TB is free. The treatment is free in government hospitals. I'm looking at cancer. You know, there are some concerted efforts in regards to maybe finding out and some of the treatment. And HIV and AIDS, actually the drugs, before USAID stopped its aid, these drugs were offered free. What about when it comes to non-communicable diseases?
For non-communicable diseases, I would say the government is trying because of the UHC, but we still have gaps. In fact, on the medication, we have some medication that NCD patient, you have to pocket so that you can get those medication, and they are really expensive. Yeah, so there's a big gap between the supplies and the medication, which most of the hospitals, if you go and I believe government is talking about SHA, but if you go to the hospitals, SHA, it's working in some hospitals, but to get the chronic disease medication, it's not available. Yeah.
And when you talk about advocacy, you are an NCD advocate.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you do to ensure that not only Kenyans know about non-communicable diseases, but also get help? Because as you have rightly put it, is that some of these NCDs, the cost of treatment or management is very high.
Yes. Yeah, I'll talk about the diet. Diet is the risk factor for NCDs. And foods that have high sugar, salt, unhealthy fats, and processed food are easily available to the market. So you found that most of people are consuming this food without knowing. So as an NCD advocate, what you are doing, we are coming up with preventive policies, like the one of the front of pack warning nutrition labels that will enable the consumer to know which food that has high sugar, high salt, and unhealthy fats. And also as an advocate, you are really pushing for affordable and access to treatment. Yeah. Then as an advocate, you are training other advocates in different counties. I'm sure right now NCDAC Alliance have trained more than 22 counties for advocates, and also you are doing digital advocacy, whereby the advocates can use their platform, their online, to amplify their voices.
All right.
Yeah.
And because of the interest of time, I'm informed that I need to wrap up. What is one thing that you can talk about in terms of NCDs, their nutrition and diet, especially for anyone who's suffering from one of these diseases?
Okay, thank you so much, Ben. I want to bring them to pace to the fact that, as Bivon has mentioned, you cannot get NCDs just from air. You have to have specific factors coming to play so that you develop an NCD. We have different risks that put you at risk of getting NCDs, be it age or family history. But the most modifiable one, like unhealthy diets, which we have at least at hand now. At this point, we are able to influence the quality of diets in our markets. And that's why like NCDAC is doing, training even journalists to report on NCDs, to increase awareness of NCDs, is a way that we are helping you as a Kenyan citizen to know that you should be screened on NCDs. For example, I did a camp in Kitengela. There was a mother who could not even know she has diabetes or she has even blood pressure. So just saying, I have this exists, it always remains like that. So I think we need to heighten even policies, because at an individual case, it may be difficult. It may be better to solve a case at an individual, but when we create a food environment that is supportive, for example, in such policies like front of pack warning labels, we are able to influence a large proportion. So somebody who's suffering from any chronic disease, especially the NCDs, should always seek guidance from the hospital, especially from a nutritionist, a registered dietitian nutritionist, because they are trained to treat, prevent, and even care for the NCDs, as we also do it in a multidisciplinary team in the healthcare.
Yeah, Bevon, you are one of the few people who might maybe have known and are advocating for better management of NCDs.
Yes.
Some people, just like Kama has observed here, is that they do not even know that you either have hypertension, cancer, or when it comes to screening and information, there are some people who don't know that there are two types of diabetes. even some who are already learned. But when it comes to the management of these diseases, that is when now you feel the pinch itself. I have seen the government, actually President William Ruto did unveil last year, but the community health promoters, the CHPs, who are in the mashinani. They can be able to check your pressure, they can be able to check your sugar, they can also be able to advise you on a nutrition. How much is this going into the mashinani to help people who are suffering from NCDs like diabetes, just like you?
Okay, I think there's a gap between other conditions and NCDs. So even if we have the CHPs going around, taking the blood sugar, taking the measurement, and looking around the community, you may find that the same CHPs, they don't know more about the NCDs. So even if they come across a patient who has the condition, they'll not tell and not even direct that person to the right facility. Yeah, so I think we should empower the CHPs, even the community, with the information on NCDs. And also, we should have preventive policies and system that enhance and talk more about the NCDs, so that people can be aware of NCDs. Now, even if you do the more training for CHPs, they'll have the right information on how to take care of the people who are suffering with the NCDs.
Bevan, I'm looking at the cost of treatment for NCDs. It's very high for some NCDs. Practical example is diabetes. At least we used to have ARVs that were provided by the government. And when it comes to the cost of treatment, sometimes it's on the higher side. What are other challenges that people who are suffering from these diseases have to undergo? And especially when it comes to information.
I would mention the information part, but I also mention the family or the caregivers. The effect of having an NCD patient and you being a caregiver, it is devastating. Because especially when you have a patient who is much advanced and their productivity is very low, becomes a very challenging point. In terms of information, you have also caregivers who are not able to know how do we manage even diabetes, hypertension in that case. So.
All right, thank you so much. I'm informed that we have run out of time, but this is a conversation that I want us to really open up, because there are so many non-communicable diseases that Kenyans are suffering silently. But on hand to help us delve into this has been Bevan Mugoshi, who is an Bevan Mugoshi on the far left, who is a type 1 diabetic and also an NCD advocate. And also we had Kamau Amos, who is a nutrition advocacy advocate. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Let's wrap it up. I'm Bentro Njue. Many thanks indeed. I will be catching you next at 1 p.m. with more news in regards to what is happening in the country and beyond. You have yourself a blessed afternoon.